Coming up on today's show, we'll be reviewing The Woman King.
And we'll be speaking to the stars of Amsterdam and The Lost King.
Hello and welcome to What's On at Cineworld Cinemas. I am Luke Owen.
And I am the everything king, Dan Lane.
We have got two
kings.
films this week.
Yeah.
But The Woman King is the film we're going to be talking about.
Indeed,
Because you've seen it.
I have seen it. I saw it last night. I went to my local World of Cine to have a little look, and it is a banger. It is a great film. Yeah, really good.
This is a movie that I saw the poster for, and I was like, I like the look of that. Then I saw a trailer for it, and I was like, I'm even more into that, because anything that's got Viola Davis in it is always going to be pretty high up on my list of like want to see that, want to watch that. But then like seeing her in a big action sequence and stuff, and it looks like it's going to be like beautifully shot in this and the other. Can you confirm that all of that is true?
100% true. It's very much Viola Davis's movie. She's at the center of it. She is the beating heart, the moral compass, the everything of the film. She's incredible. Obviously, it's Viola Davis. But I don't think certainly me as a big fan who has seen basically everything she's been in, expected to see her carry an action movie on her shoulders like this. Mm-hmm. And she really does. She looks the part, she acts the part, she is the part. It's an incredible central performance. It's also a beautiful, almost like Spielberg kind of classic film. It's got that kind of Braveheart, scope, majesty. It's incredible. It's just over 2 hours long, and normally I see that and I'm like, could shorten it down. Not a minute of this film is wasted. Oh, cool. It's a really incredibly tight script, written really well. You care about every single character, and every performer in the film is knocking it out of the park. And it's something that, so when you do get the natural beats, it's actually a really good example for any wannabe screenwriters or people who are interested in storytelling, because it has the kind of classic 3-act structure. Everything set up is paid off, and it shows that if you don't have to focus too heavily on characters to make you care about them. Just a little bit here and there builds the sort of connection between the audience and the characters, so that when you get those moments of pathos, you kind of and there is a peril in this film, because obviously they are warriors. It is an action movie where they go to war. You're nervous for these characters because you've cared about them the whole way through. It's a really, really good film. Really liked it.
You said this before we started recording as well. You called it a Spielbergian. Yes. What do you mean by sort of Spielbergian? So
there's a director, I don't know if you've heard of him. He's called Steven Spielberg.
Really?
Yes, he's done a couple of films.
Has he done anything I've seen?
I don't know, because you don't see as many movies as me, because
I'm not special.
You're not special.
No.
So Steven Spielberg has.
I do know who Steven Spielberg is.
That was a bit.
Just want to clarify. What a great central performance by me, by the way.
Oh no, I didn't know if you could carry the bit, but you did. Steven Spielberg has that kind of grand scope. There's a very weighty tone to his movies. I feel like you're watching a Steven Spielberg movie before you realise you're watching a Steven Spielberg movie. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I get it.
So if you think about Lincoln and Jurassic Park and E.T., all three of them have this. They're very different movies, but they have the same kind of Spielberg quality to it. There's a cinematic majesty to it. And that's what's present in this movie. When I compare it to Braveheart, it's kind of the same. The landscape of Africa is as much a part of the story as the characters and as the narrative, in the same way that in Braveheart, the landscape of Scotland was as much part of the narrative, the sort of wilderness, the wild element of the setting. And it's just that kind of, it's at once a classic movie where you feel like I'm watching this real film movie. And then also it's incredibly fresh and brand new, because it's the kind of story that we haven't seen before. The filmmaker has taken all efforts to try and have as many women and women of colour specifically in charge of the various different aspects of production. And it was all shot on location in South Africa. So it's a very unique voice that we haven't seen as much of. And I think it's really interesting that Black Panther made such the splash that it did and was so rich in sort of African texture. And that has opened the door to now something like this, where it feels like I said, at once a classic and something completely brand new. It's a movie that you see and you feel like, oh, I've seen this. This belongs up there. It's that kind of. It's Hollywood, man. It's Hollywood.
And it's quite nice as well because we've got Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. Tickets are on sale for that now. By the way,
November 11th.
Yes, we'll be talking about that a little bit later on. I suppose that's sort of like the fantastical side of, and this is more of the real side.
Yeah.
Like both have got very similar vibes to them, but also are very different at the same time.
It's grounded in a true story. The characters, Viola Davis' character is a fictional character. The filmmakers did an extensive deep dive into the history of Dahomey and Diego G.A. And it's kind of grounded in reality in a way that, you know, Black Panther isn't. And it's so nice to be able to have both of these exist alongside each other with so many similarities, but also so different. It's almost closer, I would say, to something like Saving Private Ryan.
Right.
You know.
But that's not only this week's big release, because Amsterdam is also out this week, the big David O. Russell ensemble piece, which is a movie that's... What a cast this movie's got. I'm just going to read you a few names of the people that are in this movie.
Open the IMDb.
Wikipedia, if you will.
Excuse me.
Christian Bale, Margot Robbie, John David Washington, Chris Rock, Anya Taylor-Joy, Zoe Saldana, Mike Myers, not the guy from Halloween, the guy from Austin Powers, Michael Shannon, Timothy Olyphant, Andrea Risberg, Taylor Swift. Like, it just goes like Rami Malek, Bobby De Niro. It just goes on and on and on and on and on.
Yeah, it's like, who's free? You want to be in a movie?
And that's kind of what a lot of this movie is being sold on. It's just like that poster with all of those names on it. And sort of, you know, like Infinity War. It's like, look at all these stars we've got. Only this is a self-contained thing. Look at all these people we've got here.
I don't know too much about this movie. I did see the trailer before Don't Worry Darling, and I think it's kind of... Visually, it's got a very, you know, I also think of American Hustle, which was the other day.
That's what I was going to make a comparison to. Yeah,
it's got that kind of same very strong visual, very strong production design element to it,
and big names, doing big scenes together. See, now I do know quite a bit of this movie, and do you know why?
Please,
because I watched Olivia from Cineworld sit down with Margot Robbie and Rami Malek.
Seamless.
It truly is so stunning. I think, I mean, I've watched it with friends at the premiere the other night who aren't normally that conscious of cinematography or lights or costumes. You know, they don't normally comment on things like that. And they were like, whoa, this is beautiful. It's so visually arresting. Please, you have to see it on the big screen, at least the first time.
And our cinematographer, Emmanuel Lubezki Chivo, he would often go to David, and David would want a tight close-up, and he'd say, let's stay in the wide. Please try to stay in the wide, because it's just so special, and it had such depth, texture, richness, and it really was beautiful to watch day in and day out.
We shot in amazing locations. We shot on the Queen Mary, which is a giant haunted boat, and we shot that as the Waldorf Hotel. So in the movie, when they go to a hotel, we actually shot at a ginormous haunted boat that floats in the ocean in LA. You weren't there in the Waldorf, were you?
Mm-mm.
It's actually haunted.
Really?
Yeah.
The Queen Mary?
Yeah, is actually haunted, and it's creepy as when you're there.
What happened? Any stories?
I'll tell you after. I also did a Halloween there once. It's very fun.
Did you?
Yeah.
You threw the Halloween party at the Queen?
No, I'll tell you.
Okay.
We should go sometime.
The Lost King is also out in cinemas, featuring my boy, Steve Coogan.
It is a movie about a woman who strives to find the remains of Richard III, Sally Hawkins, who you just love Sally Hawkins' face, don't you? And it's directed by Stephen Frears. It is I'm really excited for this film because it's kind of the same as Mrs. Harris Goes to Paris. It's got that same vibe to it where it's got that very British, very, I guess like, you know, schmaltzy, lovely sort of movie, which I love at this time of year, especially when the weather gets a bit cold. I want to go to the movies and get cozy and watch something that's going to make me feel nice. And I think it's got that kind of vibe to it. I'm quite excited for it.
Well, I also know a lot about this movie.
Why?
Well, because I watched Olivia sit down with Steve Coogan.
You keep doing this.
The fact that it was so little known about outside sort of small group of people, although it had been acknowledged, it was barely acknowledged because the people holding the megaphone was a big institution called Leicester University. So they were able to sort of get their version of events, and Philippa barely features in their accounts. And so in some ways, because of Philippa's being relegated to the sidelines, that helped actually make it a more interesting story, because it was as ostensibly untold. So that made me think, right, I want to get out there and sort of shout Philippa's story from the rooftops. And so that made it just irresistible. And then all I had to do was convince Philippa that I was the right person to help her do that.
Also out in cinemas this week, Smile, Mrs. Harris Goes to Paris.
Ponny and Selvan 1, and Don't Worry Darling, and, can you believe, Ticket to Paradise.
Dan, what is your pick of the week?
I'm going to pick The Woman King. I think, this is one of those weeks where there really is something for everyone, but in very genuine terms, because you could go, I still love Mrs. Harris Goes to Paris, and Ticket to Paradise is delightful, but I think there's something about The Woman King which feels like a moment, and I think it would be great if it got the audience it richly deserves.
It was, yeah, I think it is my pick of the week as well, but I am going to give the runner-up award, if you will. And I'm going to see both of the weekend to Amsterdam, because I like the work of David O. Russell, and I think it's just got such an incredible cast, and it is one of those movies that its cast has made you go like, oh man, I've really got to go to the pictures to go and see this thing.
I like to go and see anything that's like acting the movie.
Yeah, that exactly the one.
Yeah.
So that I think I'm going to go with Amsterdam as my. Do you know what? I'm just going to put my foot down. Amsterdam is my pick of the week.
Wow, that was a plot twist, wasn't it? You started and now you'll finish.
And now I'll finish. Like Magnus Magnuson, I've started, so I'll finish. And if you're watching this video from the world of Barnsley and you're thinking, but I can't go and see any of these movies.
That's not true.
It's not true at all.
That's not true even
Because
slightly.
the Cineworld is now opened in Barnsley.
Guys, I'm here at the new Cineworld in Barnsley and it looks amazing. So what have we got? We've got 13 screens, we've got IMAX with laser, we've got 4DX, it feels like you're in a roller coaster, you've got the motion, you've got water spraying, you've got wind, and you can even smell things. Oh yes, ScreenX as well. You're sat surrounded by a screen, it's projected onto the sidewalls. And I might even bring my girlfriend to that. Honestly guys, this place is amazing. I'm currently just having a little explore and I'm gonna have a look. What's in here? Come on, let's have a look.
October 11th, we have an unlimited screening of Emily, and tickets are on sale for Black Adam,
Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, and Lyle Crocodile.
which has got previews this weekend.
Indeed, it has.
It's crazy that, we are nearing the end of the year, but we still have Black Adam and we still have Black Panther. Avatar is not too far off either.
It's like racing to the finish line for what's going to be the biggest movie of the year.
It really is. I mean, Top Gun, but
well, indeed.
But, but I think what I'm so super excited for, both Black Adam and Wakanda Forever. We had the new trailer for Wakanda Forever, which you and I did a trailer reaction for here on this very channel.
We did do that.
And I'm so pumped for both of those movies.
Yeah, I literally, before we came to record, I saw a clip of The Rock on the red carpet for Black Adam, and it just reminds me, I'm really excited for this.
Yeah.
It's a good vibe.
But that's all we've got time for on this edition of What's On at Cineworld Cinemas. Please do click the links in the video description down below to check out any of the movies that we have discussed today. Also, hey Dan, I like listening to you and I talk.
I like listening to you and I talk.
What if there was more of it?
Oh, I'd love that.
And there is, in the podcast realm, on good, bad, and mediocre podcast platforms.
Huge if true.
But until then, I have been Luke Owen.
I've been Dan Langton.
And that's What's On.